How is it going, Trailblazers? So just a few hours ago, we finally got the complete kit for Robin's new 5-star form, also officially known as Robin Summeretto. And I'm guessing that most of you guys are really excited about pulling for her, right? So today in this video, we're mainly going to discuss her full kit in detail and how she functions. While going over her kit, I'll also discuss her traces, light cone, eidolons, and her best team synergies as well. But before we begin, let me just give a quick reminder that this version of Robin's kit is only the first iteration, and a lot of changes will be made to it throughout the beta. So please make sure to take everything with a grain of salt. With that out of the way, let's jump straight into it. Now, first of all, let's start with her basic attack. There's honestly not much to talk about here, since it simply deals wind damage based on 50% of Robin Summeretto's max HP to a single enemy. The important thing this tells us, however, is that she's an HP scaling character, meaning you'll primarily want to stack as much HP as possible when building her. Moving on to her skill, this is where Robin's unique mechanics begin. Instead of directly buffing your team, her skill summons a memo sprite called Summer Songbird's Bessie onto the battlefield. If Bessie is already active, using the skill again fully restores its HP while also granting it 6 vibes, which is Robin's unique resource. This immediately tells us that keeping Bessie alive is going to be one of Robin's biggest priorities, since almost everything in her kit revolves around these summer songbirds. Next up is her ultimate, which is honestly one of the most interesting parts of her kit. Robin selects one ally, immediately advances their action by 100%, restores 20% of their maximum energy, and grants them a special status called Special Guest. Whenever this designated ally attacks, Robin gains 1 vibe. Unlike the original Robin, who buffs the entire team equally, Robin Summeretto is clearly designed around supporting a single hyper carry. Her ultimate not only gives your carry an immediate turn and restores energy, but also becomes one of her main ways of generating vibes. Now let's move on to her talent, because this is where everything starts coming together. Summer Songbird's Bessie inherits 70% of Robin's max HP while also gaining 180% of her speed. Whenever an ally attacks or performs healing for the first time during an enemy turn, Robin gains 1 vibe, with a maximum of 50 stacks. Once she reaches 6 vibes while Bessie is active, she immediately summons another songbird called Patty. When all summer songbirds have gathered, Robin enters a special fever state. As soon as fever begins, both Robin and her songbirds remove all crowd control debuffs from themselves. More importantly, while enemies are inside Robin's zone, all allies ignore 15% defense, plus an additional 0.5% defense ignore for every vibe. At maximum vibes, your team can ignore up to 40% of the enemy's defense, making Fever State an incredibly powerful damage window. During Fever State, Robin also stops taking turns, with the summer songbirds becoming the focus until all stored vibes have been consumed. Speaking of the songbirds, let's quickly talk about what they actually do. Their Memo Sprite skill deals AoE wind damage based on their max HP, but the real value comes from their talent. During Fever State, the songbirds create a countdown on the action bar. Throughout this countdown, Robin's designated special guest gains a massive damage bonus that scales with the number of vibes, while enemies also suffer up to 20% vulnerability depending on how many songbirds are active. Together, these effects make Fever State the strongest part of Robin's entire kit. Once all vibes have been consumed, the songbirds disappear, Fever State ends, and Robin immediately advances herself forward by 50%, so she can begin rebuilding her rotation again. Now let's move on to Robin's major traces. Her first trace provides 2 different effects depending on the teammate generating vibes. If that ally has more ATK than Robin, Robin heals them whenever they generate vibes. Otherwise, they instead receive 40% critical damage plus an additional 1% critical damage for every vibe, giving Robin both offensive utility and a bit of extra sustain. Her second trace introduces another mechanic called Groove. Whenever Robin or her songbirds receive healing or shields from teammates, they gain Groove stacks. At the beginning of Robin's turn, she consumes 1 stack to regenerate additional energy, allowing sustained characters like Hyacinth and Lingsha to help her cycle through her ultimate much more consistently. Finally, her third trace grants both Robin and her songbirds an additional 50% critical rate, making her significantly easier to build. Now let's quickly talk about Robin's signature light cone. It increases her max HP by 30%, further improving nearly every part of her kit. After using her ultimate, she restores 1 skill point to the team. Then upon entering battle, Robin advances her own action by 40% while granting all allies 20% speed for 2 turns. Overall, it improves her HP scaling, opening rotation, skill point economy, and team speed, making it an excellent fit for her kit. As for her Eidolons, they're definitely very strong, although I wouldn't call them mandatory based on the current beta. Her first Eidolon increases Robin's maximum vibes by 20, allowing her to stack even more buffs during Fever State. It also grants an additional 2 vibes the first time each turn an ally uses a skill that generates vibes, making her rotations much more consistent. Her second Eidolon shifts more towards increasing her overall damage output. The Summer Songbirds record all non-true damage dealt by your team, and whenever they use their Memo Sprite skill, they deal additional true damage based on the total recorded damage along with Robin's current vibe count. Her fourth Eidolon immediately grants 12 vibes upon entering Fever State, while also increasing the Summer Songbird's speed based on her current vibes, allowing them to act more frequently during her strongest damage window. Finally, her sixth Eidolon is an enormous power spike. It grants the entire team 20% all-type resistance penetration, doubles the damage multiplier of the Songbird's Memo Sprite skill, and upon entering Fever State, both Robin and the Summer Songbirds gain a massive 200% critical damage. Overall, her Eidolons provide a mixture of smoother vibe generation, stronger support capabilities, and significantly higher personal damage. However, these values could still change throughout the beta, so I wouldn't recommend making any poll decisions based on them just yet. Finally, let's talk about her best teammates. Based on everything we've seen so far, Robin Summeretto is clearly designed as a dedicated hyper-carry support rather than a universal harmony unit. DPS characters that attack frequently will naturally generate more vibes, such as Aglia and HIMEKO Nova, for example, which enable Robin to enter the Fever State much faster while taking full advantage of her action advance, energy restoration, and powerful buffs. Since Robin also rewards healing and shielding through her groove mechanic, sustained characters like Hyacinth and Lingsha look like particularly strong options as well. Overall, her ideal teams will likely consist of one primary DPS, Robin Summeretto herself, a sustained character, and one additional support depending on what your carry needs. From my first impressions, Robin Summeretto looks incredibly unique. She's not simply a stronger version of the original Robin, but instead fills a completely different niche by focusing almost entirely on empowering one carry through her Summer Songbirds and Fever State mechanics. The combination of action advance, energy regeneration, defense ignore, vulnerability, and massive damage buffs gives her a very distinct playstyle. That being said, this is still only version 1 of the beta, so expect plenty of adjustments over the coming weeks before version 4.5 officially releases. But anyways, that's pretty much everything we currently know about Robin Summeretto's complete kit. If you found the info in this video helpful, feel free to give it a like, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel in order to stay up to date with all the latest Honkai Star Rail news, discussions, and character guides. That's it for now, so I'll see you guys in the next video.